Yo, what up guys? Wherever you are in the world, I hope you're doing well. This is just going to be a kind of a quick video because I just want to share with you something that I recently heard that had quite, well, it struck a chord with me basically, and I just think it's something that deserves to be paid forward, if you will. So before I get into it, I have to give props to the woman that I heard this from. She's called Anita Moorjani. She wrote a book called Dying to Be Me, which I read about 5 years ago now, and it had a pretty big effect on me. She's a wonderful woman. I'll leave a description below so you can go check her YouTube channel out and find out more about her. So just say a big thank you, Anita, for this message. I heard it when she was talking on a kind of an online radio show about a week ago, and it just, yeah, like I say, it struck a chord with me, and I think it's a sentiment that deserves to be shared. So basically what this sentiment is Anita was talking about how in this world that we live in, there really is such a sense of kind of fear now. And it seems to be getting worse, especially with the events of the world, and especially how our mainstream media often reacts. And that's the key word here, is reacts to what is going on. And this reactionary kind of way of reacting to what's happening in the world has now kind of is carried over into how most people react to the world itself and carry themselves. And this isn't just completely restricted to the media. This goes down right back to your education and the conditioning that we all go through when we grow up in these societies that we live in. And so often we grow up and we start living from this reactionary mindset where we just react to outer circumstances. Now, the problem is with this is if you just react to what is going on in the world, you'll find, and I found this, is that it quite quickly kind of makes you feel quite powerless, and it just makes you feel like a victim to outer circumstance, and it definitely doesn't empower you. And we see this all the time. We see this even on the internet, people who go onto Twitter and just kind of, say how offended they are about things, or people posting things on Facebook or even YouTube, moaning about the world. And I got to put my hand up and say that, I find it quite hard not to do this a lot of the time, and I probably have done this a lot of the time as well, trying to point out how messed up the world is to other people. And whilst it feels like maybe you're doing something, useful at the time, really, when you look at it, are you actually helping to create the kind of world that you would actually like to live in, the kind of world that you would like to see being embraced and for us all to kind of move towards? Or are you actually just helping to kind of put more fear-based stuff out there to make people feel even more down about how bad the world appears to be? And this is where you can make a conscious choice, and it's really so simple, but usually the most kind of profound things are simple. And just make a choice. Would you rather actually create something instead of just reacting to what's happening? What can you create, either in your own little local sphere of your life, or even create something that can, in a wider sphere, something that can help the world itself? What can you create to help the world to become a better place? And how can you do it in a way that is unique to you? Start asking yourself that question more often. When you're tempted to react to what is happening in the outside world, just ask yourself, well, actually, before I just react and just kind of, add more fire to the raging inferno that seems to be out there, both in the world and on the online world, what can you do to actually bring something new in, And what I found when I've been thinking about this is it actually has a tremendous effect of taking you out of this kind of fear, this mentality of fear and this mentality of victimhood, and puts you in a much more optimistic, enthusiastic and excited mentality, because you feel empowered. You realize that, yeah, I can actually do something. It might just be a small thing, but I'm doing something. I am actually helping to affect something, and I'll do my best, and I'll see what happens. It might not change the world, but at least I'm doing something. And if more of us started to think in that way, I think we'd be amazed at just what an effect we could actually have on the world. Instead of just feeling like we just are just having to kind of soak in all of this negativity and then getting kind of overwhelmed by it. So yeah, it's just a great sentiment, an incredibly important one, and it's one that really in many ways goes right to the heart of who you are, because as children I think we do naturally operate more from this creative side of ourselves, but then we go through an education system and we have to start reacting to what the textbook says, we have to start reacting to what the teacher tells us, you know, we react from a place of fear if we put our hand up and we are told that we're wrong, react to what others' opinions of ourselves are, and we start to close down this creative expressive part of ourselves and just kind of go into reactionary mode. And you see this how it gradually happens with people, and they kind of lose their joy, they lose their colour, and they become quite down about a lot of things. And I was noticing that this was happening to me recently as well, especially when I was starting to think about all the stuff that has been in the news recently. So I guess this message came at a very opportune time. It's definitely uplifted me, and it's definitely something that I'm going to do my best to try and stick to and make more of a reality in my own life. And I just think it's something that was worth sharing with you guys as well. So yeah, like I say, just try and make a conscious decision more often to operate from a place of creation rather than a place of reaction, and see what that brings up inside of you and see where it leads you. You might be surprised. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you, and again, big thanks to Anita Moorjani for sharing that with me and everyone else, and I hope to see you guys soon. Peace out.